Thank you. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Montclair Township Planning Board. In accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting a copy of the notice on the first floor of this building and by sending a copy to the newspaper designated by the township for notices, and also electronically on the township website by posting a copy there. We are also being broadcast live on Channel 34 and stream live and on demand on YouTube. This meeting is quasi-judicial proceeding, meaning that the board has powers and procedures that resemble a court of law, and we're obligated to objectively determine facts and to draw conclusions therefrom in order to provide the basis for an official action. Any questions or comments should be limited to those issues which the board may legally consider in reaching such decisions, and decorum appropriate for a judicial hearing should be maintained at all times. First thing on our agenda this evening is our roll call.
Mr. Borshoff is excused.
Thankfully.
Vice
Not
Chair
personal.
Brodock.
He has COVID.
He's
by the way.
COVID, not personal.
That's
No. He's only been at one meeting, yeah.
context.
Vice Chair Brodock.
I'm here.
Mr. Campbell.
Present.
Mr. Graham.
Here.
Mr. Ortiz. Mr. Pierre.
Present.
Counselor Terry.
Here.
Dr. Kara. Ms. Willis is excused. Chair Nguyen.
Here.
Mr. Jacobson.
Present and healthy.
Mr. Neiman.
Here.
Okay.
Okay, we have minutes from our February 26th meeting.
Are there any changes to the minutes? I don't think I received any comments.
It's a pretty straightforward one.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
Okay, we have a resolution listed for 182 Glenridge Avenue that we need an extension of time on.
Did you prepare you sent it out, right?
I did,
Okay.
but I don't have it in my packet.
I think you sent it out after I put together the packets.
Right. Everyone get it?
I think I have it
Yes.
You got the
here.
email.
Here it is. No, this is the wrong resolution I have. Okay.
No, that's the Park Street.
I know. I didn't bring it with me. Is there a oh, here comes Miss Willis. So she is here.
Good evening.
Are there any changes to the resolution for the extension of time? Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
And that brings us to the matter of 135 Valley Road, Kush Connection, site plan review.
Right, I received a request today from the attorney for the applicant requesting that the matter be carried to the April 15th meeting to give them time to respond to the engineer's comments.
Okay, I don't see, looks like everybody's agreed from the nodding of the heads around the table, so I think we can do that.
Okay?
All right, and that brings us, excuse me?
And no further notice?
No further notice.
Okay, will be sent.
And that brings us to new business with the Montclair Board of Education, the capital project review.
Right.
Wherever you're comfortable. You can pop back and forth between the two. We're really flexible tonight.
That is the hot seat, after all.
That's okay.
Just make sure your mic's turned on.
Yes, right. Right, thank you for that. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Good to be here in Montclair as always. My name is Rob Simon. I'm an attorney with the firm of Herald Law. I'm here on behalf of the Montclair Board of Education and also HESP Solar. We're here for a capital review project. As this board may be aware, the Montclair Board of Education has entered into a solar energy service agreement with Hess Solar to construct solar systems projects at various school properties owned by the Montclair Board of Education. The Bradford Elementary School, 87 Mount Hebron Road, George Inness Annex, 141 Park Street, Montclair High School, 100 Chestnut Street, Northeast Elementary, 503 Grove Street, and Woodman Field, 22 Essex Avenue, all in Montclair. These solar projects are all being installed pursuant to the terms of an RFP, more specifically a solar energy power purchase agreement to provide solar generated electricity. This is a rooftop project as opposed to a ground mount project. These are all going to be installed on the roof, and the roof areas under the RFP were to be used to optimize the amount of solar generated electricity for each site. The designs came from the Board of Education considering the shading impact on the panels to be installed, and obviously the goal here is to reduce the annual electricity needs for the Board of Ed and specifically for these particular schools, and the projected electricity requirements for each school were used to calculate the size of each system. So this is a capital review project in conjunction with Section 31A of the Municipal Land Use Law, and where it provides that you are asking in this case, the planning board, you're referring the matter to the planning board for review and recommendation in conjunction with the master plan. So what the board is to do as part of a courtesy or capital review is to consider the application in conjunction with this master plan and to provide as a courtesy any recommendations pertaining to the project. Hess Solar in particular has extensive experience in the solar industry, and I have thankfully been part of many a Board of Education project throughout New Jersey, and obviously we're undertaking this consistent with the Board of Ed's goal to promote sustainability, and that is certainly in concert with the township's renewable energy initiatives. Ms. Talley was kind enough to provide a memo kind of outlining some of the considerations that are set forth in the most recent version, the Unified Land Use and Circulation, element of the master plan from 2023, and where Janice appropriately identified the fact that, included in the master plan is encouraging the use of alternative energy sources, such as solar power, to help reduce reliance on the electricity grid for power, and there are proposed ordinance changes, including both encouraging energy-efficient buildings throughout the township, as well as encouraging the use of alternative energy sources, such as solar, to help reduce reliance on the electricity grid for power, and to support the use of solar power on not just private but also public properties to provide initial and backup power supply. So with all that stated, what we'd like to do tonight is to call one witness, Allison Kimball, who's the Vice President of Energy and Solar Engineering at KMB Design Group. She's an electrical engineer, to provide a brief overview of each solar project at the Board of Education sites. Also available to answer any questions to the extent necessary are Susan Brody on behalf of HESP and William Ross, the professional architect of record on behalf of the school district. We also have with us Christina Hunt, the business administrator for the Board of Education, if there's any questions. So with that, I would like to call Ms. Kimball.
You can either have a seat or you can stand, whatever's more comfortable for you.
Well, I think I'm going to be pointing at that, so it's probably best.
Yeah, that would be great. So Allison, even though this is a courtesy review, if you can just give the board the benefit of your educational background, your professional, your employment, your areas of expertise
Yes,
in the
absolutely.
field of electrical engineering.
Absolutely. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from Rutgers University a long time ago. I have been an engineer for over 25 years, and I've been doing solar for almost 15 to 20 of those years, really since solar started becoming a thing. So I head up the solar group at KMD Design Group. I'm a licensed professional electrical engineer in New Jersey and 7 other states. And we've worked with HESP quite frequently on these school board projects in New Jersey.
And in conjunction with them, you've appeared before planning
Yes,
boards
I
such
have.
as this to provide
Yes.
testimony and support.
I have, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to walk through for the benefit of the
Yep.
board, and Ms. Talley was kind enough to set us up with a projector and some PDFs. So, and I'm going to ask you just, and then I'll be quiet, just to
Yeah.
identify each project by address, where it's located, and the particulars of the project in terms of number of modules and, you know.
Ms. Kimball, if you could speak into that microphone right there, that way we'll get you, oh, no, on the other side, there's a,
Behind the left.
Oh, right here.
yeah,
Yep, got it.
Looks like it's on.
it is, yeah.
Good?
Yep,
Okay.
that's good.
All right, so this first site is Woodman Field. It's located at 22 Essex Avenue in Montclair. This is one of the smallest project of the site. The system size is going to be 22 kW. And you can see in this roof area here, we have the modules located on the roof of this area, right in this general area. There's going to be one inverter for this site, which will be located on the roof. And then the output of that will run to AC disconnect switch and some monitoring equipment at grade, which will then interconnect into the electrical service inside the building.
And that's located on the roof of the field house which is in the back of the property, closer to the railroad tracks, right?
Yes, I'm not sure honestly where
Okay.
the railroad tracks are in conjunction with this, but it's the field house at the edge of the track there.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you said there was something at grade? Where is that
So
located?
right here, it's just a small disconnect switch. So we always want to have a disconnect switch at grade so that when emergency services come out, if they need to, they can shut it out. It'll be labeled so that you know that that's the solar disconnect switch. It'll be locked, so but they'll have access to it.
So with that, unless there's anything else on this, for this project, we can move on to the next.
Maybe a question for this and the other ones. Are there any battery storage?
There's no battery storage as
No.
part of this.
Is
No.
that possible add-on at some point?
So I would I don't believe it's in the plan right now? Is it?
It was not in the request. Speaking to the microphone.
So, yeah, that's fine. So Susan, if you would just identify yourself, please, just for the record. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Susan Brody, Chief Operations Officer at HESP Solar. The request for proposal did not include a request for battery storage at any of the sites, so we didn't include it in the bid.
Okay.
It is feasible in the future to amend the plans and to add on to projects, but right now it's not in the scope of work.
Is there anything that needs to be done now to make that easier? I'm just curious.
I mean, there would be, yes. If the plan was to install, to add battery storage, then yes, there would be things that could be done now to make that easier in the future.
But not necessary.
But not necessary, no.
Not necessary, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, is that, a recommendation this board wants to make? Is if there's something you're like, hey, if we do it now, it's going to be $5 versus later it's going to be 5,000, I would support that type of recommendation.
Understood, yeah. For some of them, that it could be a money savings to do it now as opposed to later, but there's no reason that it couldn't be done later as well.
Okay. Thanks.
I don't have that information.
Susan, do you have that information?
I don't know that. We didn't look
Before-
into it at all.
Before getting to that, what's your general opinion on batteries as a source of storage? My understanding is that the technology is reasonably nascent, but I'd be curious to hear your opinion. Do you think that, while it's feasible?
It's
it's
feasible, yeah.
different than recommending it?
It's definitely becoming something that is happening more and more. I would not say it's the norm yet. I don't think we're quite there yet for cost and, payback, I would guess. But it's something that I think in the future is going to be,
Moving in that direction?
yeah.
Agreed.
Any more on this one? No?
Just in terms of the, sorry. In terms of the inverter
Yes.
that's on the roof, that's that white structure?
The inverter on the roof, it's very small. It's-
Okay,
There's a little square right there.
gotcha, okay,
It's- There, just, it sits up on the roof with the solar panels.
okay.
Sorry.
Down. Okay. And I was trying to scroll. There you go. Yep. Okay, great. So our second site is Bradford Elementary School, located at 67 Mount Hebron Road in Montclair. This site has This one is 151 kW, so it's quite a bit larger than the last. We have 4 different roof areas that are going to get solar here that we're proposing. There's this flat roof area over here, another flat roof area up there, and this flat roof area here. And then this area is a pitched roof. So the flat roof areas are going to get what's called a ballasted system. It's a 5-degree tilt, and essentially it sits on top of the roof with ballast blocks. And it's maybe about 10 inches off of the surface of the roof. It's very low profile. For the pitched roof, these are going to be flush mounted, directly connected to the structure itself. And they're just inches off of the roof. And so those will tilt, basically be the pitch of the roof.
Is that on the front of the Bradford School?
This is the front, yes.
That's the front? It wouldn't work on the back?
So it could, but it would not get as much production on the back. So
Because it's south-facing on
because
the...
the south facing is the front of the roof, and so the more the modules face the sun, the better production you're gonna get from it. So on the back of the roof, they'd actually be facing away, so they would not be getting as direct sunlight. So the production would be much less. So you're gonna get a better benefit by putting them on the south facing roof.
It's just because the reason why I ask is from a Historic Preservation Commission perspective, typically the front of the structures that are visible from the street are what we want to protect in terms of look and facade. So if it was possible, I guess, I don't know, if there's any other alternative that could be considered, I would.
So what I'll say is
Yeah.
that most of the other areas that are available are going to be shaded areas.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, they're not great opportunities. And even on this side, there's quite a few obstructions there, so it would really limit the number of modules and reduce what you would be able to get from this.
Okay.
And the other possible, but maybe far-fetched way of locating them on the south roof, but pitching them. So is that an option?
So
Is that a realistic option?
I'm not saying it's not realistic, but it's unusual. It would be unusual, and it would not look as clean, right? So they would all be tilted up, and you would still have shading because this is the highest part of the roof.
So it wouldn't be
anything on
as
the other side,
effective? It wouldn't be as effective as
It would
having
not
them
be
on
as
the front side?
effective, no.
And that's not a slate roof, right?
I don't
No,
know.
It's not,
I
right?
don't believe so.
Are any of them, I think maybe northeast might be?
I think one of them
I
was.
think northeast might be. Yeah, okay. Like we can address that then. Okay.
So similar to the other site, we're going to put the inverters on the roof. We try to put as much equipment on the roof to keep it, out of the way. And then the output of those inverters are going to run down to this area right back here, where we're going to have just an AC combiner panel, so just an electrical panel, some monitoring equipment, and we're showing it in just a fenced-in area there.
Would any of those be visible from the street as well?
No, so these are all kind of in this courtyard back here.
Any of the equipment used to attach to the south-facing pitched roof?
No, we're not going to put any inverters up on that
Okay.
roof. So all that'll be on that roof is just modules. So it'll be clean, flush, it'll be a nice, clean-looking install.
Okay.
The other inverters are going to be, we're locating them on the flat roofs, and you really won't be able to see them from the ground.
Okay, thank you.
So similar to the other building, the output of these inverters will interconnect right behind the electrical service to offset the usage at this site. Any questions on this one?
Moving on to the third.
Okay. So the next one is George Inness Annex. This one is 131.76 kW. And here we do have several pitched roofs. We have the southwest roof here that we're going to put some modules, we're proposing some modules. We have the southeast roof here. And then we have this flat section of roof here where we're proposing modules. Again, these will be, on the flat roof will be the ballasted system, and on the pitched roofs will be flush direct connected to the roof. We will be putting some inverters on the flat roofs here, and again, collecting all the power down to a collector panel right here at grade with some monitoring equipment, and then that will run and connect into the electrical service inside the building. Questions on this one? No? Okay.
Well, the only one visible from the street would be the south-facing panel, correct?
These, yes.
Those are the only ones, okay. Thank you.
And that's actually set back quite a distance.
Set back a bit,
I
yeah.
think the trees hide the roof.
Yeah.
They do, but we're supposed to look at it as if the trees don't exist. But yes, I get it, yeah.
Okay, this is Montclair High School, located at 100 Chestnut Street in Montclair. This whole service is a flat roof. This is the largest system of all of them. This one is 550 kW. We're looking really to fill up the roof areas where possible. So we have ballasted modules on most of the available areas that are not shaded. Again, we're going to be putting the inverters up on the roof, and then running everything down to a panel board here on the ground, where that will then from there connect to the electrical service inside the building. Again, this will be backfed into the electric service behind the meter.
Is anything facing the
So
street?
this is all flat roof, so you're really not going to see
You're not
any of
gonna
this
see all flat,
from the
okay,
road.
thank you.
And the last one is Northeast Elementary School. This one is 146.88 kW. And again, we are just proposing to put modules on the flat roof at this building as well. So we're not proposing anything on the pitched roof, so visibility will be minimal. Again, we're going to propose the inverters up on the roof, and then run down to put some equipment on the side of the building here, and then pop into the electrical room and interconnect behind the meter at that point.
And now, so all these systems will be installed in accordance with all applicable building codes?
Correct, yes. So the layouts are all designed in accordance with the fire codes, the building codes, so keeping the appropriate setbacks from the edges of the roof, the pathways for emergency services, and also setbacks from rooftop equipment for servicing.
And
Also,
then-
all will be provided with rapid shutdown per the code as well.
And in terms of monitoring, what typically takes place in terms of whether it's being remote or otherwise?
Yeah, so all of the systems will be monitored so that HESP will be able to see and follow the production and understand, they'll be able to understand if anything is not working properly, but that's all able to be done remotely.
A few questions. At the aggregate, what percentage of the production for the structures in question are being covered by the panels?
I don't have that. Susan, do you have that information?
I do. Across the 5 sites, we've designed the systems to cover 75% of the post-ESIP usage of the Board of Education.
Thank you. So it's not likely that we're in a situation where we're selling back excess to the grid?
No.
Okay, all right. So it might help with some of the battery question that you brought up earlier. Thank you.
Who's going to own the panels?
Who's gonna what?
Own the panels at the end of it?
If you want exercise.
Yeah, we intend to own the systems, Hess Solar.
Okay.
What's the estimated life?
So the contract with the Board of Ed is for 15 years. The expected life of a solar system is about 40 years. So the Board of
40?
The Board of Ed will have the option after 15 years to renew the contract so that they can we would keep owning the system and maintaining it, and the Board of Ed would just be obligated to buy the electric output, but that will be their option after 15 years. And the system as designed will be saving the Board of Education about $100,000 a year.
All together.
All the schools. Mhm.
Is there an SLA that describes what the timelines for any reactions based on something going wrong with the panels or otherwise?
So you asking if there's a faulty panel or?
No, whether it's a faulty panel or anything going wrong, service level agreement
Right.
that describes the response time. Should we expect a day, 2 days, a week?
Oh.
Like,
It's all included in the agreement with the Board of Ed.
So
The
there's
contract.
There's a notification provision that would come out, but also because they're monitored, there may
Yeah.
be a proactive circumstance where Hess will just say, hey, we got a problem with a panel or a row of panels, and they'll just come out on their own.
thank you.
Is that what goes wrong with them? They just fail, or they don't function properly, and how frequently does that happen?
So we have scheduled maintenance where we come out and maintain all solar systems twice a year. So we'll be up on the roof to do regular maintenance and inspections. Generally, in those inspections, we will discover if wires are getting loose or something that potentially may fail in the future, and we correct it on site. We do not experience many failures on rooftop systems at all. Sometimes, the most common failure over time is somewhere around the 10th year, the inverter potentially may fail, in which case we would just come out and replace the inverter, and then the system would be right back up and running. Panels don't generally fail.
Any other
Any
questions?
questions for Ms. Kimball and Ms. Brody?
No, looks like we're good.
Okay, so that concludes our presentation, and we appreciate the board, Ms. Talley, for,
I apologize, can I make one request? Can I just request that the Historic Preservation Commission Design Review Committee just have an opportunity to discuss the project with Hess? It's it's 3 members of the commission. It's informal. It's not before, it's not in public session. I would just like some additional members of the commission to just have a look at, in particular, the Bradford School, which is south-facing and on the street, and the George Inness School, the south-facing section. I just would like them to have a chance to comment. That's all.
yeah, don't get, I just know, and in fact, let me ask Ms. Brody, in terms of your, just thinking about timing,
Mhm.
schedule.
And we can schedule whenever you want.
Yeah, well, that's why I just want to,
Yeah.
I'm not the boss. Okay?
Understood.
So Ms. Brody, just in terms of Mr. Graham's question, just what's the timeline for where you are right now in terms of the process and when you expect to be up and running? I just don't want, just, in
Right.
terms of what their timeline is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we would love to get this project built up and running as soon as possible for the Board of Ed. We already have panels delivered to the site. They're already at the sites.
Mhm.
We did submit for permits to the building department, obviously knowing
This would
that
not hold
was
any of that
gonna-
up.
Right,
Yeah.
so we're very happy to talk to to anybody on the historic board and to hear their comments and accommodate wherever we possibly can.
As
But-
long as it doesn't inhibit your construction schedule.
Correct.
That's
Because
highly unlikely.
We just want to be up and running. We want to get this construction site going. We want to get it built. We want it to be completed over the summer so that by the time the school year starts next year, we won't be, in the way of the schools at all.
This committee's it's composed of myself, the chair, and one of the architects on the board, and I think it would be helpful just to have their input
Okay,
as
so
well.
How could we set up that
Well,
meeting?
so
Right.
what I would suggest is that, the board, as part of these courtesy reviews, is certainly permitted to make recommendations consistent with the master plan. And one of the recommendations would be, that the certain members of the Historic Preservation Committee.
Design Review Committee.
Design
Mhm.
Review Committee meet informally
Mhm.
with the applicant and the board to review the project.
I appreciate
Not
the
that it's
courtesy.
gonna-
Thank
Not
you.
that it's going to hold anything up, but
No.
just as a courtesy.
I appreciate that. And Janice, should we set that up with Farwa, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The assistant planner will help to facilitate the meeting.
Someone will reach out to
Yes.
us. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So that concludes our presentation. And like I said, we thank the board for, the opportunity to, listen and hear about, what we think is an exciting project. And, certainly I do a lot of these projects around the state, and they're really, really well received once they're up and running and you really see the cost savings. So, thank you.
So as far as our recommendations go, it sounds like the only thing that we've really explored is the battery.
If that's
issue.
okay with you, Chair, I didn't mean to step on
No,
your
that's fine.
purview.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, the battery issue, and we understand the RFP and the limitations on what was planned, and I guess we would just recommend to the board that since this has a life of 40 years, the system in place, and certainly the existing panels are 14 years, warranted, guaranteed for 14 years. If it makes sense from a numbers-wise to have the groundwork laid for battery, if that's the way that things are moving, and storage, as there might be some advantage to that, depending on the costs, so that at least the numbers should be run, I would think, so that could be evaluated. And if it's easier and cheaper to have the groundwork laid, maybe that 75 can be boosted up to 100, maybe it can be 120, and some of it could be sold, speculation, but again, it's not foreign from what we've seen, in other situations. And since it looks like it hasn't been looked at, it might be worth taking a look at it. So, any other recommendations that,
I just have one question. If one of the inverters go, is there a cascade failure for just that whole system, or is it just that one solar cell is isolated?
One string, which would be like one row of panels would go down, but the rest is.
One row would go down, not the whole system?
No.
Okay.
all right, so I guess that's what we'll reflect in our response back to you, and thank you
Thank you.
for
very
the
much.
time and the
Appreciate it all.
presentation and answering our questions.
Okay. Have a good evening.
You too. Now, but the technology is moving. Yeah. you know, if it has the option, you know.
I think I didn't even have any bills.
If it's
I didn't
a
even have
cost
any
and it
bills.
doesn't hold up the project, and it's, you know, like in your.
Can I make a suggestion that we,
You know,
John,
you may want to.
can I make the suggestion that we pay the bills before we go to executive session?
And I don't think we have any bills.
Oh, then there you go. It says payment of bills on the agenda.
Well, they're always on the agenda, but, you know,
So I
we
think
don't have
we're
any this time.
Moving into executive, there was a,
Yes.
yeah.
Motion?
Motion to move into executive session.
All in favor?
Aye.
We don't have anything else on the
All right, well, the planning board has come out of executive session, and there being no new business, motion to adjourn was unanimously voted, and we are done for the evening. Thank you, everyone.
Good night.